Tonight on Metro News. Local artists have come together to save a beloved heritage building. We investigate the ticket to success for cinemas in the digital age. And we look at the new initiative to solve period poverty. Kia ora and welcome to Metro News, a program brought to you by the students of the New Zealand Broadcasting School.
A court battle is looming to decide the fate of the old Ing building in Madras Street. It's on the site of the new sports stadium and the Crown wants to take it over so the project can proceed. The owners fear it'll be demolished and they're raising funds to fight the matter in court. Lockie McLeod is covering the story and joins us now. Lockie.
Just 1 week ago, the building behind me was full of people attending an art auction. Organisers say over 50 items were sold. Although they wouldn't tell me how much was raised, they're happy with the result. The main piece by Ralph Hotiri selling for $35,000.
I sell for this wonderful cause. Going.
10 years on and the message is still the same. We want to save this building. They might not be yelling with signs, but through Ralph Hotiri's artwork, it's still very clear.
It seems like the most fitting way for us to be able to raise funds to be able to save our building.
The 115-year-old heritage building is on the site of the new stadium. There were plans to incorporate it, now its future's uncertain.
It was one of the first buildings to reopen after the earthquake, so having lost so much in Christchurch, it seems a real shame to lose something else when we don't need to lose it.
To help save the building, Hang In There Mate was gifted to Ing owners in 2013. With stadium plans now threatening its future, artists have come together to help save this heritage site.
Because Sharon and Roland are very happy to sell the building, they just don't want it to be pulled down.
And neither does the Heritage Trust, saying it should be saved, and Land Information New Zealand, which owns the site, is giving the owners the runaround.
To give false hope to owners of buildings for 10 years and then say we're going to take it is draconian law in my view.
Why do you think this building should be saved?
Because it's the last one. Once we've lost this, we've lost all memory of that part of our history.
However, there may be a solution. The plan is to lift the building onto wheels and move it a couple hundred metres down the road, the new lot adjacent to the transitional cathedral.
The museum hotel was moved in Wellington and there was a pub moved in Auckland.
While Lynn says it's been engaging with owners, it can't comment further because the matter is now going to court. That case aimed at buying more time so funds can be raised to move or save the building. Both Stephen Park and Dame Anna agree incorporating the building into this new stadium is the right solution, allowing Christchurch to get the best of both worlds, the old and the new. But for now, it's a waiting game. The question on people's minds, will it stay or will it go?
Thanks, Lockie. Rugby is regarded as one of the most dangerous contact sports and over the years has been responsible for some serious head injuries. The Rugby Union is working to protect Kiwi players with the introduction of a blue concussion card. Tommy Flavel has the story.
The New Zealand Rugby Union's issued 250 blue cards since it was introduced 5 years ago. The cards also collect data by identifying rugby's most dangerous phases, an initiative referees say make the game safer.
It's actually had a really positive effect. It's made people much more aware of players who are being injured through knocks to the head and suffering concussion.
Players issued a blue card for a head knock must leave the field until they're given medical clearance.
ACC had almost 2,000 concussion-related rugby claims last year, with Canterbury producing 230 of them. This makes the region the second highest in the country for rugby-related head knocks. However, is this enough to stop Kiwis picking up the ball?
For me, no. There's been times where I think I've had a concussion or I've been head knocked and I wanted to play on. The love of the game for me sometimes overrules safety and health of players. So
it's tough to make big blanket changes. It's sort of got to be incremental changes, like the tackle height, anything around the head. I think that's pretty much the best way you can do it without impacting the actual flow of the game.
On average, a professional rugby player is likely to sustain a serious concussion after just 25 matches, with 800 cases last year alone.
Any referee who uses a blue card has had to go through training, and here in Canterbury we use our match doctors who are involved at Super Rugby level in recognising and diagnosing concussions of our players. So they've taken our referees through what they should be looking for, symptoms and signs, and we refresh that every year.
Concussions force some of New Zealand's greatest players to hang up their boots. But for now, the fight to protect players' heads is top priority. Tommy Flavel, Metro News.
Christchurch cinemas are battling to keep their seats filled as many young people watch their movies at home on the small screen. Claudia Toxopayas takes a look at the impact of subscription services.
Cinemas have evolved over the years, from the first motion picture screening in New Zealand back in 1896
and here's your present,
to the blockbuster films we see today. But times are changing. Nowadays it seems moviegoers are moving on, and the rise of video subscription services is to blame.
But now you can watch what you want, when you want, on what you want.
And what Nick wants is the younger generation to engage with cinema. A survey of 1,400 local students found more than 80% prefer to watch movies online, with 40% saying they have not set foot in a cinema in more than a year.
It's a generational shift and it'll take time to peg back, but back in the day, cinema was quite an experience.
An experience that comes at a price.
Going to the cinema every now and again is really fun with your friends because it's like an experience. But I think like every single time you want to watch a movie, you don't want to like go out to the cinema and pay for a ticket and all of that.
Whilst they may be under pressure, Nick says cinema going is an experience second to none.
Filmmakers don't make films for people to chat and get up and have a break and pause and have a cup of coffee or get on their cell phone.
For most of the older generation, however, the cinema is still a golden age experience.
If you go to places like Wanaka where they serve you a meal if you want, or you can have a glass of wine as you're watching.
Well, if it's a big event, bigger screen, or bigger than my screen anyway.
Always in my life there will always be space for cinema.
Global giants like Netflix, Disney Plus and YouTube are fragmenting audiences and overtaking most local platforms. And as this competition grows, cinema owners are left wondering, what is the ticket to success? Nick has an answer.
So I play a lot of classics that they wouldn't have seen. I'm very mindful of keeping them involved, and while I might take a hit financially, I think it's really important to keep sowing the seed.
His final call, please don't let the credits roll on cinema. Claudia Toxopayas, Metro News.
Coming up next, we are joined by a university doctor currently working on groundbreaking cancer research. And recycling soft plastics, we check out the team behind the latest initiative to reuse all those bags.
My name is Alistair Coburn. I'm the station producer for Classic FM. So we're in London, we've got 8 radio stations and 2 TV stations here. So I've been doing this job about 2 years. Got a phone call while I was in the middle of Europe saying you've got a job interview in London. Worked out quite well. London's the greatest city on earth, I think. There's so much to do here, it's just such a vibrant place. My first year in the UK, I think we saw about 10 different countries. 2 weeks ago we were in Wales, a week before that we were in Prague. It's really amazing. I mean, Classic FM, we've got 5.3 million listeners every week, so it's more than the entire New Zealand population. I'll be writing promos, writing trails, writing imaging, writing commercials as well. I got nominated for a Sony Radio Award for a promotional campaign which I worked on. The skills that I've got from my study, they really stand up. It taught me a lot about how the entire radio industry works, like from sales to production to on-air to writing. Once you're done, you've got the internship, you get straight into a job, and from there you're off. I mean, the world's your oyster, basically.
Welcome back. A scheme to help solve period poverty is being rolled out in New Zealand schools. The Ministry of Education ran a trial in the Waikato which was successful, and now it's happening in Christchurch schools.
Our reporter Victoria Stevens has the story and joins us now. Victoria.
Period poverty is a rising issue in Aotearoa, and the lack of access to period products is affecting students' lives and education. Many girls end up staying at home because they can't afford what they need, meaning they get behind on their schoolwork. And if they're forced to go to school without the right products, they feel uncomfortable. From mid-June, all schools that opt into the initiative will have enough free pads and tampons to cover every student's cycle. So far, 70% of New Zealand schools have joined, including Christchurch's Cashmere High School.
Our school nurse has actually already begun the administrative process of opting into the initiative. It's something we feel positive about and are keen to be a part of.
Kelly Fenimore says this initiative's a great way to get kids to attend school regularly.
We do believe that there are some students for whom this does affect. We have a number of students who regularly access sanitary products from our school nurse. So I feel like without that service being available, that potentially that would be an issue.
Deputy Head Girl and Health Council member Molly Simpson says this won't make students feel so isolated.
Yes, I definitely think it would make girls feel more comfortable at school. Periods are a natural process which happen to every woman in their lifetime, and I think that this regime would be able to create a safe and inclusive environment.
Findings from a Youth 19 survey found that 12% of girls who menstruate found difficulty getting access to period products due to cost.
Definitely in Aotearoa and all over the world there are girls that don't have access to these products, so I think that this regime would really help decrease that problem.
Associate Education Minister Jan Tinetti says a main aim is to reduce gender norms and stigma around menstruation. We will be exploring how we can develop teaching and classroom resources to strengthen education on periods. The rollout will be different in every school. In some cases, students can order up to 3 months' worth of supplies and take them home. Other schools have dispensers installed into their bathrooms. The government wants all co-ed and girls' schools to opt into the initiative so that free period products are available for all students when they need them.
Thanks, Victoria. And it's back. After 2 years, we can now recycle all those soft plastic bags that no one wants. Elizabeth Robinson reports.
It's been 3 months since the return of the soft plastics recycling scheme, and so far, people are embracing it. Already more than 5 tonnes of plastic have been recycled.
Anyone can place their soft plastic packaging into one of the 29 stores located across Christchurch. You simply take your recycling, place it into the bin, and it goes from here to here, where it's packaged up and sent to the North Island.
So the driver who goes around collects from all the locations, turns up back here at Kilmarnock, and the bags get unloaded and they actually get placed in a baling machine.
Kilmarnock Enterprises and Goodman Fielder work together on the packaging. The bags get compressed into a large cube and delivered up north. In the 3 months it's been back, there's been 2 trucks a week, 84 bags per truckload and 500 bags a month, adding up to 750,000 units packaged up and saved from landfill. Aaron Friends is one of the employees and has worked at Kilmarnock for over 20 years.
I like getting out and about, doing pickups, the little odds and sod jobs.
It wasn't such good news 2 years ago when the South Island part of the scheme had to be scrapped.
What happened is China changed its policy on what waste it would take and process, and they closed the border to soft plastics. So which forced New Zealand into thinking about how can we be creative and deal with our own waste.
But now, after a rethink, a clever answer. Turn the plastic bags into something useful. Fence posts.
So they mix the soft plastic with recycled milk containers, and that blend gets turned into something very practical.
Michael says the recycling bins are doing the planet a favour.
While we have to live with plastics, at least there's an option for dealing with them, recycling them and making them into something useful.
Now that the soft plastics can be recycled right here in New Zealand, the organisations hope that there will be more bins soon. Elizabeth Robinson, Metro News.
An Otago University doctor is currently working on groundbreaking research which could prevent breast cancer. She's hoping to develop a vaccine which women would take as a preventative measure. To tell us more, Dr. Vanessa Lau is in studio now with our reporter Pierre Nixon.
Kia ora, Vanessa, and thank you very much for joining us live in the studio today. Now, your work is extremely groundbreaking. Could you just touch on it for us?
Yeah, sure. The work we're currently doing is to develop a preventative measure for breast cancer. Currently, the most effective prevention option women who are high risk for breast cancer have is a double mastectomy, which is very invasive, and it's not really an option for individuals who want to have a family and are quite young. And so we want to develop a option for them that involves an injection, essentially. They can have an injection, lowers their risk of breast cancer back down to the general population, and they can have families and not worry about having an invasive surgery. And we're targeting individuals who carry high-risk variants in breast cancer susceptibility genes, because these women have a significantly higher risk of developing breast cancer than the general population. And so we are hoping to give these women an alternative option to the mastectomy to lower their risk.
That's really nice. Now, you touched on it before, but what kind of is the main goal here?
The main goal is to give women an option that is not surgery to lower the risk of breast cancer. It's very invasive and it can have side effects, and it isn't an option for all individuals.
Why are you so passionate about this issue here in New Zealand?
Breast cancer affects a huge number of individuals. It affects 1 in 9 women. 1 in 9 women will develop breast cancer at some stage during their lifetime, and to give these women an option to lower their risk without having a double mastectomy would be extraordinary.
Now, is the research funded by the government or is it privately sourced?
The research is funded by a partnership grant, which is the Health Research Council, which is the government, Breast Cancer Cure and the Breast Cancer Foundation. So it's come from 3 different sources, 2 of those are charities.
Awesome. And how is the preventative injection supposed to work?
So how it works is you can kind of think about your gene as a book. Okay, so each chapter is a different section of the gene. And you have a high-risk variant, which is in one of those chapters. Now, what happens when you have a high-risk variant is every part of the book after that, where that chapter is, where it contains the variant, is essentially erased. And so the information that remains goes on to create the protein, but you're missing a huge chunk of that protein. And the 2 main breast cancer susceptibility genes, the proteins work to repair your DNA. So if you're missing half of it, they're not going to function as they should, which is where the increased risk of breast cancer comes from. What we're trying to do with this injection is to target the chapter that contains the high-risk variant and remove it, keeping the rest of the book intact, creating a protein that is functional and repairs your DNA as normal.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time here today. We've learned a lot. Kia ora.
No problem.
Thanks, Pierre. Coming up, we see how disc golf has taken off and is flying high in Christchurch. And we take a look at the major resurgence Crocs have had in the past year.
My name is Aaron Soma, from New Zealand originally. Now I'm working at the BBC in London, at BBC World, as a producer. So I went to broadcasting school, studied there, and then got my internship at TVNZ. Decided London was calling, so came here, started working at BBC World, and I've been here for about 3 or 4 months now. Absolutely just fell in love with this place. I mean, it's incredible. It's like a dream for any journalist. And to know that what you're producing is going out to tens of millions of people every hour, people watching it around the globe. It's incredible. There's that saying, the city that never sleeps, and this is one of those, of course. It's a huge, huge place. Great different little pockets of the city. It's amazing, it's always buzzing. At the moment I'm working night shifts, so that's overnight. So I start at about 10 p.m. and finish at 7 a.m. You know, when I arrive, America is just going to sleep, but Asia is opening up, and then Europe starts to open up. So it feels like a bit of a dream actually to be working here. The course is great because it's very much in line with what the industry is doing, and that's really important because it gives you this kind of almost this worldly knowledge of what's actually happening. It can lead you to this big wide world. You can do whatever you want to do, put your mind to it, and get out there and see what's around.
Welcome back. The Canterbury Red Devils may not be a household name, but our very own ice hockey team is aiming to get back to winning ways. Travis Mitchell reports.
When you think of ice hockey, New Zealand certainly isn't the first country that comes to mind. But for the Canterbury Red Devils, this sport means more than anything to them.
So it probably means a bit more than a hobby now, when you take it as serious as we do. You know, losses hurt like anything, you know, and it's a bit more than a hobby, yeah.
Ukrainian-born Anatoly Korozov coaches both the National Ice Blacks and the Red Devils. He's come back into the team after a break and says it's like he never left.
Yeah, I actually had a year off. Yeah, so it's not. Before that, I've been with them for another couple of years, and before that, I was with them for 3 years. So it's always I'm coming back. That's my team.
He's realistic. He understands the team is currently rebuilding and has big plans for the future.
Well, development is always one of the goals we have, any team, because you need to develop young players. Obviously, it's nice to have some wins. This team was winning like 4 times championship. You can see those banners over there. Okay, so that's an essential aim.
With over 7 years of Red Devils experience, debut captain Bradley Apps is looking forward to leading the youngsters.
Pretty important, like it's a big challenge and like a new challenge for me. I enjoy it, great group of guys, young talent. It's just nice to bring a bit of experience and hopefully teach a few of these guys the ropes and lead by example, yeah.
As far as the team culture goes, these guys are as close as it gets, spending nearly 20 hours a week with one another.
I mean, they are your brothers, you know. If someone does something dirty to your mate on the ice, you're going to do whatever you can to help them, you know.
The National Ice Hockey League consists of 5 teams from around the country, with each team playing each other home and away once. This runs through to August, but the main focus for the Canterbury Red Devils is getting time on the ice and pucks in the back of the net. Travis Mitchell, Metro News.
It's a sport that's more than a walk in the park. Disc golf is taking off around the country. Pierre Nixon reports from Jelly Park.
It's a sport on the rise. Originating in the early 1900s, disc golf is a sport where players throw a disc at a target, with similar rules to golf. And here in Christchurch, it's taking off. Willie Te Ratana is a keen disc golfer. He's played for over 2 years, runs disc golf events for new players, and even teaches the sport at schools.
You know, it's a sport or just an activity that you can do with anyone of any age at any time. It's not expensive, like a frisbee's like $20 from, or 25 from Rebel Sport.
Willie also runs a group which calls itself the Ototahi Bag Tag, with over 130 keen disc golfers joining in 9 months.
I like disc golf because it's so easy to get into and just meet new people playing.
Jelly Park is one of the most popular disc golf courses in all of Australasia, with an 18-hole course that gets up to 500 visitors a weekend.
Many players love the sport because they can play with their family.
The main thing for me was I can play with my kids, I can play with my dad, my nephews.
For us, what we've seen here is it's been incredible for families. It is something you can play from. You've seen my little ones running around this morning.
We played 18 holes and I don't like playing 18 holes.
With the sport growing in Ototahi, Willie wants to see more disc golf grounds in Christchurch.
Christchurch is the busiest spot in New Zealand. We've got 70% of players based in the South Island. We've got the land here, there's a lot of stuff over in the red zone, and we definitely need more courses.
But for now, eager disc golfers can try their luck at one of the 4 courses here in the city. Pierre Nixon, Metro News.
Once scoffed at, Crocs footwear brand is leaping forward. The American company that makes them has had unprecedented success on the stock market this year, and as I found out, sales are booming. Crocs have had a resurgence in pop culture recently. Collaborations in recent years with celebrities such as Justin Bieber and Post Malone have given the company new life. New Zealand brand manager for Crocs, Jess Lowe, says they're a shoe for everyone.
Crocs are just making a huge fashion comeback. We're really seeing it being brought amongst like the culture creators, so that's your fashionistas or people who just want to express their style in a unique way.
Shoe buyers we spoke to seem to be unsure about rocking a pair.
No. It's very comfortable, and as a healthcare worker, I would wear Crocs.
No.
Definitely I would.
They're not my style, I just don't like them.
And because they're very good in the garden.
I think there's too much stigma about them with my friends, and if I wore them I'd just get absolutely wrecked.
If they have some stylish pairs, that's a possibility.
The style, however, does seem to appeal to people from all walks of life.
We're selling the camo clogs to sort of hunting and fishing kind of guys, and then the colourful Crocs is definitely going to be more of the teenagers, bringing back that sort of 90s nostalgic footwear kind of thing.
This rise in popularity has translated to Wall Street as well. Crocs reached record highs in share prices for the first quarter of the year. Earnings are worth $1.49 per share right now, 60 cents above where they are expected to be. In the first quarter of the year, the shoe company made $460 million compared to the $281 million they made during the same time period last year.
I think they're just super versatile. You can just wear them with anything you like. They're comfortable. Everyone likes to be comfortable these days.
So if you're looking to make a fashion statement and remain comfortable, grab a pair of Crocs, chuck them in sport mode and you're good to go. Nick Duff, Metro News.
And now to the weather. Tomorrow we'll see a low of 6 with a southwest change bringing rain in the evening. Remember to wrap up warm with a mild high of 11.
That's all for Metro News tonight. For those stories and more, head to our website metronews.co.nz or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram.
We'll be back again tomorrow night at 7. Call Louisa Osborne.